Welcome,
Oh,
everyone, to Exploring Our Secret Past. I'm your host, Michael, with Carla,
Good
and
evening, everybody.
we want to apologize to everyone. We are starting late tonight. We had some technical issues, but we hopefully got them fixed. And so we are proud and so excited to welcome Andy from the UK onto our show.
hi
Woohoo!
everyone. Good evening. In my case, good morning. Yeah, I do apologise, but at least we've got
No
it sorted
worries.
now.
Well,
We've got there.
it is 3 a.m. by you, so there is that.
Yeah,
Probably 3:30 now.
yeah. Oh, the most stressful half hour of my life, I think.
I don't know. I kind of think that surgery probably was a little bit more stressful.
Oh, yeah, but I was asleep, so it wasn't too bad.
Too much care.
Yeah,
But so you're feeling a lot better now?
yeah. I'm still struggling to move about and what have you, but I'm not as many painkillers and I can a bit more mobile.
That's
Well,
good.
that's
So,
good.
yeah, getting there. Thank you.
Excellent.
Well, if you need to take a moment, feel free. Let us know. We'll
Yeah. Will do.
because I know from having leg surgery, you sometimes you gotta move and it hurts. It takes a little longer.
Yeah, I've got
Hi, Nikki.
hiking sticks to get around the house. Believe it or not.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Just don't hit anybody with it.
Oh, he's on about at the moment.
So, Andy, why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself and your show that you have and your podcast?
Okay. So my name's Andy Booth, or Andy Codes, as I make myself known on the group and YouTube channel that I have. We do a show every Friday, which is 8 p.m. UK time, where we interview guests, same as how you're doing now. This is how I know Michael and Carla, because you're both group members as well. And then I go out doing investigations as well when I've not had operations done. And I've been doing this at this level for about 18 months now. So it's called Code to the Unknown, or C.O.T.U for short. And that's it, really. So that's what I do. Like I said, it's on a Friday. Yeah.
So, do you do the 12th dimension still, or is that?
Yeah, that's the name of the well, I call it a podcast, even though it's like visual and what have you. That's just like the playlist that it goes under. That way I know when I'm putting the 12th dimension is anything related to Codes of the Unknown. But then we got live investigation playlist, 12th dimension playlist. The 12th dimension is just like to categorize it. So I know where I am, what video goes where, and what type of video, if you know what I mean. Because we also do a non-paranormal stream, and that's called Funny Not Funny. And we only do that every now and again, and we try and steer away from everything paranormal. But because we have the same viewers pretty much most weeks, it always ends up coming back to being a paranormal show. And it's just so we can have a bit of a laugh at everything else and not just do the weird side to everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 12th dimension is part of Code to the Unknown.
Yeah, isn't it interesting how the paranormal just keeps sucking you back in?
Oh, yeah. It's like the portal. Just trying to get away and you can't. It keeps coming back.
So, when I was reading your bio, those have watched the show know that I had an experience when I was 2. And you mentioned something about a strange something that happened to you around 3 years old.
Yeah.
What was that strange something?
Well, And this is the weirdest thing because it's one of them that will always stay in my memory, like it happened today or yesterday. So where I grew up, it was in a town, which in a big city in England called Manchester. But we were only like, as the crow flies, about 4 or 5 miles from the city centre. So it was quite a populated area. But at the back, so the estate that I grew up on, it was all fields and like very rural at the back. So the back of the house, it was like fields and playing fields and a golf course, sewer farm and all that kind of stuff. So it was like there wasn't a lot. There's not many houses. You could look out the bedroom window on the first floor. You could see, and you could see houses in the distance, but it was mainly like 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 grassy areas and woods and all that kind of stuff. So the house that I grew up in, both bedrooms were at the back of the house. So there was no, other than the next street down, there was no light interference coming through. You'd have to like go stand at the window and then look at an angle if you wanted to see any street lighting. Other than that, it was just, like I said, it was all open fields and what have you. There was nothing for at least half a mile. Anyway, this one night that I remember, I'd gone to bed. So my bed was on the wall where the door was that went onto the landing in the house. So I need to tell you this for you to understand what went on. So as I'm laying in bed, I'm facing the wall. The bedroom window was directly behind me on the other side of the room, so about 8-10 foot away at least. And then the entrance into the bedroom was just past my feet at the base of the bed. And there's nothing else in there. There's me and my brother that shared a room, so it was my bed. His bed was near the window, and then we had the wall went in what we call an alcove, and that's where the wardrobe was. And other than like a set of drawers each and what have you, excuse me, that was all that we had in the room. There's nothing else. So the curtains are shut. I'm in bed, and as I look up, I'm looking at the wall. Do you ever? I don't know if you've noticed. Have you ever listened to a vinyl record?
Right.
Records going round, and then if you got the sunlight coming in, it hits it and it bounces back up onto the wall. You get like a funny diamond, like dancing shape sort of thing that does the same pattern over and over. There was one of them on the wall, probably I'd say about a foot tall. And it was just there, and it kept doing this same dance over and over. But I knew it wasn't a reflection of anything, because no light had ever reflected into the bedroom unless you stand at the bedroom window holding a flashlight. There's no way you could do it. The lights were too far away.
Wow.
And it was just, I just lay there watching it. But as soon as I seen it, I knew it wasn't anything normal. I knew it was something different. What it was, I don't know. I don't know if it was something like a screen memory sort of thing. But I think pretty much from that night on, whenever I went to bed, I'd always pull the covers right over my head. So it always felt like there's 3 or 4 people stood over the bed watching me every single night, that from far back as I can remember.
Wow.
And that went on for years. Even because I'm younger than my brother, like 3.5 years younger. So I'd be going to bed before him. It didn't bother me. But whereas I was in the room on my own, our brother was in bed as well, I'd always get that feeling. So what it was, no idea.
So your little brother didn't see it?
No, but then saying that, I never really asked him. I don't ever remember asking him, but he never told me that he'd seen it either.
Did it scare you?
Not at first. I don't ever remember seeing it again. But then when I had the sensation of there was things stood around the bed watching me every single night when I was going to sleep, that scared me.
Yeah.
I was about to say, when you said no, I was like, wait, you just said you slept with the covers
Yeah.
over your eyes.
Yeah.
That's not a comforting thought.
No. It was, like I said, I was with that light thing. I don't ever remember it happening at any other time. I remember it happening on this one event, but then after that, it always, like I said, the scary bit was it always felt there's like people watching me. Even if I needed to get up and go to the bathroom, I wouldn't. I'd wait until
Daylight.
either one of my parents were upstairs or my brother would come in. Then I'd jump up, run to the bathroom, and run back again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, do you think this is one of those moments that sparked you into the paranormal, or just something you forgot about and remembered later after you were already in?
No, because like I said, this is a memory that I've always had. It's always been there. And this is how I know when it happened. Because at the time where it was, the houses didn't have any central heating. They had no like radiators and all that kind of stuff. So we was moved out of the house while all the houses were refitted with central heating, and then we moved back afterwards. And this happened just before that. And the only reason that I remember it to when it was is that when we lived in the other house, it was only in there for like 3-4 months. I had my 4th birthday while I was in this other house. So I know it was prior to that.
Wow, it's kind of strange thinking, talking to somebody that didn't have central air, because it's like something we were all used to having when we were growing up. Our parents maybe didn't have it, but we had it. So it's kind of unique to hear you saying, "Oh, you guys had to move out to have it put in." It's like, wow, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if when they were putting something in, if they moved something or something happened that they decided, okay, we're done. We'll leave Andy alone.
You know what? I never thought of it like that till you've just explained it.
So do you think that something different happened after the heating was put in, or the air?
I still felt like there was things stood around my bed at night, but then whether that was just in my head, like psychological or whatever, because it was previous, I don't know. But I don't ever remember getting them feelings when we lived in the other house. Like I said, we was only there for a few months. It wasn't that long, really.
Do you ever tell your parents? You remember?
Possibly. If I did, I'd have told my mum, and she'd have probably said, "Oh, like stop being silly. You just imagining it, sort of thing."
Yeah.
Because nothing ever happened. There's never any like movement or never heard any noises or banging or anything like that. I think it's just when I went to bed, I just got that feeling.
Yeah. I could tell you, I have a similar experience when I was growing up.
Yeah.
My house, we were next door to a neighbor's and my window faced them. And I was in my bed looking out the window and I go, there's 2 yellow eyes looking at me. Get up, run to my parents, tell them there's 2 yellow eyes in my window. They're like, I think you're imagining it. They come, and of course, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, were they there? Weren't they? It's like all of a sudden you start questioning, did I imagine this?
Yeah. No, exactly what you mean.
Wow.
But my next experience happened is in the same area, but it was on the next street down. So whether this is connected with it or not, I'm going to say this was about. Sorry. This is about 6, maybe 7 years later. So I got a push bike for Christmas. In Manchester, it rains no matter what time of year it is. You guarantee it's going to rain no matter what. And I wasn't really allowed out on my bike because I was only like 8, 9 years old. Obviously, in case I fell off and hurt myself in the wet weather. Anyway, so this was like a Saturday. None of my friends were coming out. So I just went out on my bike, just riding up and down the streets. And I always remember I got to the next street down. So remember when I said if I looked out the bedroom window, I had to like bend round a bit to see the street light for the next street.
Right.
So from the house to where this next event happened, probably not even 100 yards away. Because all the streets were cul-de-sacs with all dead ends, except for 2 of them, which allowed you access to get on and off. So I'm on the next street down, and I was just pedaling about, and none of my mates were coming out, and I just stopped on the corner, and then I just looked straight up, and I remember seeing a silver disc above my head. It was 2-tone silver, like one inside the other, but then between the inner and outer one, there's smaller dots going all the way around it. I don't know if the B6 could have been 8, I don't know, but I just remember there's darker dots going round. And I just sat, I had on my handlebars, sat on the saddle, just looking straight up like that. And that I could have been there for 2 minutes, I could have been there for 2 hours. I've no idea.
Wow.
I remember I put my head down because my neck was aching, and when I looked back up, there was nothing there.
Wow.
And no
that is
sound?
cool.
No sound
I
of it?
don't remember any sound. There possibly could have been like a slight humming noise, but nothing loud. There's no lights on it. Never remember seeing any lights. Didn't see anyone or anything inside it. I was looking like at the underbelly of it. And that was it. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
but because I was playing out on my bike, so my mum, the rules were if you started proper throwing it down, I had to come in. Or I had to come in when my dinner was ready, or I had to come in before it got dark. And that was pretty much it. Like growing up in the 70s and 80s. So that's why I don't know how long I was there looking at this thing.
And to me, it's unique, your experience, because a lot of them that I've read in my personal experiences, I seen the light, and that's what drew my eye to it.
Yeah.
And so for you to say there were no lights, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That's like a whole different caliber experience than,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, you could say, oh, there was a blink of light and it drew my attention up, and that's what, got my attention. But you had no light, you had no sound, probably.
And it was middle of the day.
It was purely meant for you to be in that moment, to look up and see it.
Yeah.
It's the only way to explain that.
Yeah. And what I also do remember, it was quiet growing up on that estate. I'd say in total there's probably about 150 houses in total. There was nobody else about. Even back then, though, I said each street had between 10 and 30 houses in it. Then you had the one long road that connected them all together. So the street that I grew up on only had 10 houses. And there's only 2 people in that street that had cars. So, I mean, if you go back there now, everyone's got or at least 2 cars per household. So you can imagine the traffic difference, as it was then in the late 70s to how it is now. But I don't remember seeing anyone walking past or anyone driving past. But you couldn't even use it as a cut through, really. because the main street that the smaller roads came off, there's a main road ran parallel to it. So there'd be no, unless there was an incident and they closed the road, there'd be no reason for you to come round onto the estate unless you was going to a specific house. But it was just really, really quiet. Yeah, strange. I don't ever remember seeing anyone while I was like staring at this thing in the sky.
And so this house that you experienced the UFO, wasn't that far away from when you were 3 years old and had an experience?
No, it was literally so. Lived at the end of the street. Like I said, there's 10 houses. So where it's like the present, yeah. When you get there, that's where I grew up. You come out, you probably what? The street was probably about 60, 70 foot long. Like I said, you've only got 5 houses on either side. You
Wow.
walk down, you turn left. You've got the end house that run alongside, and then they're kind of like side and back garden. And you've got the next house on the corner for the next street, which was pretty much similar to that. And then it was on that corner. But I wouldn't even say probably less than 200 yards. Probably
Really?
less than 100 yards, to be honest.
Do you ever think that there could have been a correlation between possibly people standing around your bed or something standing around your bed and the UFO?
Yes. Obviously, at the time, I didn't have a clue. I just thought there was stuff going
Right.
on. Yeah. But looking back now, definitely there was some connection.
Yeah.
For me, I can still remember how I felt when it felt like there's people stood around the bed. I can remember
So
that sensation.
yeah, so they more of them observing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But, yeah.
I
And then
wonder
I've had
too.
that later on in life as well. Sorry, Michael.
I wonder too, a step further of, the house. Could, have you looked up the land to see, what, if there anything went on there, and seeing if before the houses were built, if there was any legends or.
From what I could remember, or what I found out, it was all farmyard. So the area that I grew up in Manchester is a place called Swinton. But prior to that, it was written or pronounced Swine Town. So there's a lot of pig farms. That's where the name comes from.
Right.
So other than pig farms and I suppose cattle and that, there's nothing else there that I know of. I don't know what it was before that, but
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling, I could be wrong, but it's kind of a suspicion I'm making, because here it's like we don't count a lot of stuff that happens to farmers as newsworthy. If the farmers were talking about it and everybody else was like, nah, you guys are hanging with the pigs too much. You guys don't know what you're talking about. And here you are having an experience and going, man, I can correlate to what happened to them.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like a lot of my friends, like we're all around the same age, give or take 6 months. And I never ever had a conversation with any of them about anything that they'd experienced. I couldn't even tell you if they had.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. I don't talk a lot to people either about experiences. I think it's because society teaches us they're gonna think you're nuts, and so it's better to keep quiet and get along.
Yeah.
No, totally get it. But so that was where it all started. But then, I was just going to say, but then I grew up watching Arthur C. Clarke. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do the show, and he grew up watching that. Do you guys watch Hammer House of Horror, or like the little Dracula shows with?
I don't think we get
I don't
those.
think so
It's a
either.
bit like Tales of the Unexpected. Did you ever get that?
I've not heard of it.
I haven't
No.
heard of it.
So Hammer Productions, it's all like vampire stuff, and it was a different one each week.
Mhm.
And so I grew up, even though it scared me, but I liked it. Parents didn't
Yeah.
bother because I enjoyed it. So I think they thought that, oh, at least if he's watching it with us, if he does get scared, we're here for him, sort of thing. It was more, but it didn't. But I used to watch zombie movies and anything. I
Yeah.
used to love all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff rather than watching kids TV. So
Wow.
I think that helped as well, growing up watching all them kind of TV shows.
It kind of, I guess I don't know. It just seems like, because I guess I can relate when you grow up watching those type of shows and you're scared, but you're intrigued
Yeah,
and
yeah.
wanting to know more, but you're kind of like trying to, grab a pillow and watch at the same time.
Yeah, they like
Right.
they like watching it through the pillow, but still wanting to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. So that was it. That was pretty much it for quite a while.
I think we lost Michael.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, has he been abducted?
So have you experienced anything like that again?
Yeah, but it wasn't for. I had a few little things go on, more like ghostly stuff, but I kind of got used to that as just through watching the stuff like that I was telling you about, these TV
Mhm.
shows about like ghosts and Dracula and zombies and all that kind of stuff, and it like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and all that.
Sure.
Yeah, the original ones.
Yeah.
But nothing major really happened for what was about 9 then. That I can remember, probably for about 10 years. And
But
then
you
it
still
kind
you still were interested in the shows and
oh yeah.
yeah.
Like have the like Unexplained magazines,
Yeah.
oh yeah, the UFO ones, anything and everything. If there's
Yeah.
anything on TV, I'd be watching it. Books, a
Okay.
lot. And I had a few things happen, like doors trying to open and banging on walls, and then
Really?
as someone banged on the door, we'd open it and there'd be nobody on the other side. And it was just, yeah. But that was like, that got to the point where that was happening all the time.
In your
Depending,
house?
not, oh no, luckily not at my house, but at other people's houses. Yeah. So it wasn't too bad because I could go home and they was ones that had to live with it.
Mhm.
But yeah, the next after that was, I'm just trying to
So it
remember.
was more poltergeist type activity?
A few bits and pieces were, yeah, but nothing malicious. It wasn't anything like nothing evil. It was just like stuff being moved, like I said, banging and doors opening and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Well, look,
then
we have a new guest.
he's back. Nice for you to join us.
I don't know what's happening tonight.
I have no idea. Oh God, no! It could be anything. It's probably the weather.
Mhm.
It
Blame it
could
on the
be.
weather.
It's always the weather's fault.
Yeah. But then I'm just trying to think. So yeah, if you jump forward about 9-10 years,
Mhm.
like I said, there's other bits and pieces going on. But then this time, I remember it was a Friday because I used to finish work early. So I'm about No, it's probably about 12 years. Because I'm in my early 20s. So I'm driving home, and I always remember because I used to take a small van home from where I used to work. I used to do deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular Friday, the boss wanted to use it because he was moving house. So I took his car while he had the van. So I'm driving home. It's clear day. Like I said, it's Friday. We used to finish work about between 1 and 3, so say 2 o'clock. I'm driving home, coming down the carriageway. Excuse me. As I'm coming round this big bend, I remember seeing this silver dot in the sky, and then it just did a big red streak. But see the colour where it says live, that red behind it. It was like luminous red. It did this big red streak across the sky. Lit up. No, it did a blue streak. I always get this mixed up. It did like an electric blue streak across the sky. It lit up bright red, the object and the streak, and then it all just vanished like it was never there. And I had to pull over at the side of the road because it physically made me feel sick.
Wow.
But it wasn't right in front of me. It was in front of me in a straight line, but I'd say it was a couple of miles away at least.
And this is daytime?
Daytime, yep. Like early Friday afternoon, around about 1 p.m. Same,
And it
no
just vanished.
noise. I don't know if anyone else seen it. There weren't many cars on the road that day. Not at the point where I was.
Right.
And it's like a dot, the silver dot. It went across like that, dead fast, stopped, and it all lit up bright red, and then gone.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
yeah. And I was
I
talking.
think that they're following you.
Oh,
I think you've been implanted with something in there,
well,
like a
that's another
tracking
thing.
device.
Well, I was chatting about that on the stream that I do a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't realise that to me, what I believe that was, whatever it was in the sky opened a portal, went through it, and then closed it again.
Oh.
Because it was like a tear in the sky, then it opened up, it went through, and then everything closed behind it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like what.
And it's only took me 20 odd years to work out that I've actually seen a portal open and close. Because you don't think of it like that, because
No.
you're still trying to work out what it is you've seen. And then someone said something about a portal. I think it was when I was speaking to Jodie Cook. You know Jodie Cook, North America Dogman Project. He was on the
You
show.
mentioned her. You mentioned him.
Yeah, he was on the show, and he said something about a portal. And with what he was saying, it's like, that's what I'm saying. That's what happened to me. Pretty much, other than the circumstances, it was pretty much exactly the same thing. So,
Wow.
very, very odd. And I've seen, but between then and now, I do a lot of stargazing. I've seen a lot of stuff moving around in the sky. Some of them are probably satellites or just planes, but it's just the movement of some of them. You'll just see it'll be moving, and then it will stop, and it'll completely change direction, and then it'll start moving again. Then there'll be like 3 or 4 small, and they all join in.
And you're pretty in tune to it too, so your mind's already trying to decipher what you're seeing when we're just like, what?
Yeah, but I think now, because I've seen them do it quite a lot. Same sort of thing. I've just got used to it. It's not, to me, it's not paranormal. It's normal, because it happens more often than not. If I'm watching it, if I was to go outside now, if it's throwing it down, so I'm not gonna. But if it was a clear night, if I was to go out, I'm pretty much guarantee I'd see what I called dancing stars, and you'll see them like just dancing around, then they'll stop and they'll reposition, and then I'll focus again on another point, and then they'll start doing it again.
Wow.
Very strange.
That is
I don't know
crazy.
what it is, but
You get your own personal show.
It's better than going to the movies.
yeah. But then I moved from the north of England to the south 14 years this year. I lived in one part for 2.5 years. Then I moved from there. Then the next house that I lived in, I was there for around about 6 years. This was where anything and everything happened in this one house or surrounding area.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine Skinwalker Ranch in a 3-bedroom house. That's
Oh
where
my
it was.
gosh.
I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh my gosh.
So these aren't going to be in order because I wrote them down, but I couldn't remember what order anything would be in. So the first thing that happened, so the room that I slept in, I always kept the bedroom door open. And then there's a box room at the side of it. Now, because of where the bed was in that room, you couldn't close the door. The door hit the bed. So it had to be stay open. So we used it as like a closed area. You know, if you just put in t-shirts and jumpers and that on, so like easy to grab when you're coming in and out of the bedroom. Anyway, so there's a black cardigan or something on one of the doors. So I was always like looking. Same again with the window behind me, but looking out the doors on the opposite wall. I actually watch it like this cardigan, and it watched it swing up, it stopped, and then swing back down. Even if someone was doing it, you'd see it moving a little bit, but this was solid fluid motion.
Wow.
And that was the first thing that I remember happening in that house. And then it just escalated from that to the
Really?
point where I was having dreams about not being abducted, but I'd be walking down the street and then it'd be like Star Wars in the sky, and all these different, what do you call them, spaceships. They're like having an intergalactic war. I'd be walking down the street and there'd be the same bloke in all the dreams. He was an older guy, little, grey, going bald on top. I'd say in his 70s, 80s. And he'd say the same thing to me every single dream. What you doing here? You're not supposed to be able to see any of this.
Really?
And then I'd have to try and get away from him. Not that he wasn't trying to kill me or anything like that, but there was something that was a bit sinister about him.
Right.
And then I remember I'd had this dream, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I felt something in my nose. It was in my right nostril, and I pretty much had my hand. Sounds a bit disgusting, but I pretty much had my hand inside my nose, and I pulled out a little tiny piece of tube. I think it was plastic. It's probably about just over a centimetre long and about 2-3 millimetres thick. But you could see that it was hollow. Yeah. So I just put it down. So I had a white IKEA set of drawers at the side of the bed. So I put it on that. I know, when you can smell blood.
Right.
So I know I had blood all over my hand. I couldn't. It was just I was. When you're that tired, and I'll sort it out in the morning, sort of thing. But I just knew how to get this thing out of my nose. I took it out. I put it on the side. Was it there? Nope. No blood on my hand. No blood on the pillow. No blood on the unit. Nothing. but I felt an indentation. You can still feel it now. You can feel where it goes in there, where this tube used to be.
So there was an implant.
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading the message. Yeah, so I don't know what it was, but then it wasn't there the next day. It was gone. There was no trace of it. If it was to go anywhere, it would have rolled on the floor. I spent hours looking for that. Nothing.
Interesting.
So yeah. So that was that one.
I
Do
kind of
you want?
wonder if maybe that was something that was planned on their part.
Well, do you want? There's another bit that I believe is connected to that, but I'm not 100% because I haven't got any proof. So I moved there. So I moved south 2009, 2008. Sorry, September 2008. Then I moved to the other part of south of England in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So this was probably, I reckon this was 2012, I guess. I remember it was summer, so it must have been the following year. So I stood in the back garden. Well, it's not a big garden, but with the tree line and that, and it was on a bit of a hill, you could see for quite a way.
Mm-hmm.
There was one morning I was having a coffee and breakfast. Like I said, it was warm. I had shorts and a t-shirt on. And when you just feel like you're being watched,
Yeah.
I got that. And I'm looking, I'm trying to find out where it's coming from. So as I'm looking with the house directly behind me, I look to my left, so say like 10 o'clock, and I could see a silver ball in the sky. But it wasn't, I'd say that was at least 2 miles away. I could see it. I was like, I couldn't see the exact shape of it, but I could see it round, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like a metal object. And I was just like, okay. And I was kind of like staring at it, but I think we had pet rabbits, so I was going out. I was feeding them at the same time. Just when you go in the garden, you do everything that you need to do all in one go. It was one of them.
Right.
But while I'm doing that, I'm still like concentrating on this ball, and it's like it was just sat there, and it started making me feel uncomfortable. So I'm like, right, okay. Anyway, I'd done what I needed to do, and I looked back up to that, and it was still there. Thought, right, this is a bit creepy now. So I went back inside. So came back in, and then next day, same thing, went out, checked the rabbits, all that, looked up, it was there again in the exact same spot. I did what I needed to do and looked back, and it was still there. I thought, right, this is not right now. I felt like I was being observed. And then that freaked me out a little bit
Yeah.
because
I can imagine.
there was other stuff going on at the house, like day and night. I think that was part of the connection as to what was actually going on. And then it was roughly around the same time that I found that implant. But I can't say 100% that it was connected. I'm just guessing it was
Sure.
connected because it was all happening at the same time.
Andy,
So,
in listening to your stories, I
yeah,
kind of noticed a key thing. I wonder if you've ever thought about every time you move, you say you're moving south, and then you
yeah.
see something. Then you move south again, and you see something. You think you're following them or you're being driven south for some reason?
Well, since then, I've moved north only like 20, 25 mile, and it doesn't seem, fingers crossed, nothing has really happened here. Well, compared to anywhere else, nothing's happened here. But it's just I don't know where it is.
I just
I couldn't tell you. But there was at that house. It was just. It got to the point where I didn't want to be there anymore. It was
Yeah.
like the energy was that bad. It had gone.
right.
So I'd be like, remember me saying like had the bedroom door open. There's a little
Mhm.
box room where you hang clothes on the door. So across the hallway was the separate bathroom and toilet. So at one end was the bathroom. We had the bath and the shower. And then we had another room like with a toilet, just a toilet and a little sink. So I was stood in the doorway of the bedroom and the box room, and a figure walked past me at an angle like that. It was about 4.5, 5 foot tall, semi-transparent, black, and it just looked like a little old woman shuffling across. And
Ugh,
I'm like, if I'd have put my hand like that and done that, I'd have been able to touch it. It was that close,
really?
Wow.
and I didn't. I was like froze. I kind of started screaming. So I was like proper, because I didn't know what was going on. It's like I thought I don't know if it was my mind or didn't know what was happening. So I'm screaming. The other people in the house come up. They couldn't see it, and I just watched it walk and go into this other room. But it didn't respond to anything I was saying or doing. It just carried on in whatever path it was going along.
That
Did you,
So
is
have you
wow.
ever tried to communicate at all with any of the activity?
not at that house. I think that was because I lived there and I didn't want to open
Encourage the
anything bad.
behavior?
Yeah, there's enough stuff going on. I didn't want to like start prodding and poking at it,
Yeah.
literally. So, but no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, there are
But
some lines you just don't cross.
yeah.
Right.
Well, the next thing I'm going to tell you is the main reason why I never did anything. So I was in the same bedroom again. The windows would open that way. So you'd be pointing down. So they open horizontally rather than vertically. So it's a big square window, and you'd open it, have like the safety catches on it, so you could only open it a few inches.
Mhm.
So it was open. So I'm sat on the bed. My ex-partner at the time, she was in the bathroom, and her eldest daughter was upstairs. She was getting, I remember it was a Sunday night because she was getting a school uniform and getting her stuff ready for school. So I'm sat on the bed and I heard this noise. So I'm shouting. My ex, she's in the shower. She goes, "Oh, get the name of the daughter. I'm not going to give the names." So the daughter come in. I'm like, "Please tell me you can hear that." And she looked at me, and I'm like, "Can you hear that noise?" And the way she looked at me was, "Yes, I can." She didn't even have to say anything. And it was the first floor bedroom, and there was a growling noise, like a breathing growling. And Mama said the window opened like that, the growling. If I'd have put my hand through the window, whatever was there, I'd have touched it. It was right underneath the window,
Ugh.
and
Oh man.
it lasted at least a minute, at least. So right, so this is a straight. So the area of the houses is called a croft. So you've got roads on the outside. You've got 4 squares,
Mhm.
but all 90 degrees, like 4 rows of houses,
Right.
and there's a gap. So we lived in the corner one there, so there was no walkway through that. Opposite, you could get through. In far left-hand corner, you could get through, and on the back left corner, and those are access points to the roads around it or the residential parking areas. They're like a big square where you'd park, like like a car park. You couldn't park right outside the house. There's a big green of grass in the middle for like kids to play on and what have you, like a bit of a swinging slide and what have you, years ago. So if there was anything at the house, anyone walking past would have seen it from any of the other three sides. Now, the only person that had a dog that lived on there was the house virtually opposite and a bit to the left. They had Jack Russell. Even if it had been their dog, even if it had been there, it wouldn't have been able to make the noise that I could hear.
Wow.
And it was just, it just gives me chills now every time I think about it, of how close it was to what it could have been. And people have said, why didn't you look out the window? I think if I'd have looked out the window, it'd probably been one of the last things I ever did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, her daughter heard it. And when she came out the bathroom, she's like, is it not a car? Because there was a carriageway at the back of the house. Like, you can't even, the only time you could hear the cars at night was if it was like big trucks or it had been raining. The
Right.
noise of the water,
Right.
you know, it makes it louder. And that it's not a car. Cars don't growl. It's like, it was not a dog. If it was a dog, it was an 8-foot tall dog sat under the bedroom window.
It was a dog man. That's what it was.
The dog man.
Well, that's the thing. So I don't know. And like I said, I didn't see anything because I wasn't brave enough to stick my head out the window.
Or maybe
this-
you were smart enough not to stick your head
Yeah.
out the
Oh,
window.
That's
I don't
probably
know.
more likely.
Yeah, it was. I know it was around winter time because it was about 8:30 and it was really dark. So yeah, it was just no.
So
No.
I'm taking it that's not what caused the X to be an X, though.
No, but it probably didn't help.
See ya.
Yeah. But there'd be other times I'd be sat, so the front room, so you sat in the front room and the hallway, the only two access points to go outside. The kitchen was closed, so you go in the front room, you got the kitchen directly in front of you. Go to your left and then right, you got the stairs going straight up. Go left and stay left, that takes you into the living room / dining room, which is the full length of the house. Now at the back of there's the access point to get into the back garden. Other than walking all the way around and going through the back gate, that was the only way in and out the back of the house. I've been sat in the living room at the bottom of the stairs, and I've seen someone run downstairs in like a white t-shirt and denim jeans, and they've gone like into the kitchen. So I thought it'd be one of the kids trying to scare me. So I sneaked into the kitchen to scare them before they could scare me. Nobody there. Now, where the sofa was positioned in the living room, you can see the front door. So even if they just make the front door wasn't the party's door, it was like you'd hear as soon as you turn the handle on it, you'd hear it.
Right.
So even if they didn't make a noise going out the front door, I would have seen them.
Yeah.
And the only other way back out is, like I said, the back door was in the living room going out into the garden. So either way, they'd have had to pass me. Nobody there.
Wow,
Yep.
I'm getting
That's
chills
kinda
just hearing
crazy.
this.
So, and this, like I said, I was there about maybe 5.5 years, and it pretty much started from day one of me moving in to when I left. And it was just, but it wasn't just, stuff wasn't just happening at the house, it was happening when I was out and about as well.
So something's following you.
I don't think
Until he moved north.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't think it was following. I think it was just more of a connection. Because there was another time, and it wasn't. This was probably about a year before I moved out. I was driving up the motorway, and I was coming off at the next junction, and there's loads of roadworks. It's like down to 40 miles an hour. And it's Friday afternoon, so everyone was there, and it was the main motorway coming out of London. So, and I'm only probably about 40 miles out of London anyway. So you can imagine how busy it is coming out of a major city on a Friday afternoon. And so I'm driving up, and to the right, it's all like countryside, and you got lakes and a couple of rivers and that. Few little not towns, villages. Like you'd see like a clump of houses and nothing, then another clump. So as I'm driving up, it's just getting dark, and I noticed a light in the sky, and it was like, I thought, oh my god, it's a UFO, typical saucer shape. But then the bottom of it started dripping, and it was dripping down like it was like teardrops, but it was plasma. So it was dropping plasma, but so it dropped one, and it come down. I was trying to get it on camera. It wasn't dripping and going straight down like it was dripping. It was like going slow, and it was like, and then the next one, and then the next one. So it was like a constant. It wasn't just dropping them randomly.
Right.
It was the same distance between each one, and it probably dropped about 5 of them. But because I was coming up the ramp off the motorway, all the trees and buildings and that, it blocked my sight. But there's nothing. If it was a normal road, I'd have pulled up. But obviously, because you can't stop on the motorways, there's nothing I could have done. And I'm looking round to see what other people's reactions are in their vehicles. And everyone's just driving as normal. No one's noticing it. No one's seeing what's going on. And like, it can't just be me seeing this. You can see it clear as day. And it's just, dripping these balls of plasma. And then they'd drop down to a certain height, hover, and then they'd vanish.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Whoa.
I don't know what he was dropping down. I don't know if these were smaller crafts, if these were organic beings, whatever you call them. I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dude.
And that was. Sorry, go on.
I wonder if the house has ever been altered to where it stops and vanishes was the original like level to the ground, and that's why it stops.
Yeah.
Don't know. I said it there, it's just fields. But then I've had other stuff happen roughly around that area as well.
Of course.
So if I jump to that one, is that all right?
That's fine.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll jump to this. Like I said, these are not in order of the times that they happened. I'm trying to keep, but I'm trying to do it to where there's a connection between them. Right, just thinking. So as I said, when I was at this job where I was when I seen the plasma balls, it was about a year later. It was about a year and a half later, I'd moved out. So then I lived near to where I live now. So I used to start work at 4 a.m. So I'd get up about 3 o'clock, 20 minutes getting ready, then another 20 minutes to get to work. So you've got to drive through the quickest way to get there, you've got to drive through a forest, and it's all it's all country lanes, there's no footpaths, nothing like that. So clear day. I reckon this was roughly coming toward the end of summer, because it wasn't dark, but it wasn't light. It was just before daybreak. So I'm driving down, and there's a few bends in the road. So you do have to cut It's normally 60 mile an hour, but you have to cut right down because of the bend. So I'm probably going around these bends about 30, 35. As I come round one of the bends and my light shines to the trees on my left, you could see. This is where I start laughing because it doesn't make sense now. You could see something, but you couldn't actually see it. You could see like these trees. These trees weren't that tall. They're probably only about 16 foot tall, and they're not that thick. But there was something or something going up these trees. It's what I imagine a monkey, like the shape of a monkey and how it would climb, the way that the branches and bushes were moving at the base of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So as it got, but you couldn't see anything. It was completely transparent. So this happened this first morning. I thought, I've got, it must be I'm tired. Mustn't not slept proper last night. I'm up early for work. Eyes are playing tricks. Oh, didn't think anything of it. Anyway, the next morning, started work at the same time, did the same route. And then, I think, no, the first night it was raining. Sorry. And it was real, the really heavy rain where it looks like you're driving through a waterfall. And your headlights are just bouncing off it, and you can see all the colour in the raindrops. It was that, so I thought, it must be that. It must be like the light reflecting from the raindrops and making it look like there's something happening. The next day was a clear day, the same bit, and as soon as I got round to that bend, 3 or 4 of these I call them invisible monkeys, was like shimmying up these trees again. I'm like, no, I can't be imagining the same thing on the second day, and it because I made note of the weather conditions. That was because when anything happens like that, I always make a mental note of everything that's going on around me. And so I was on this shift pretty much all that week. I had a day off, so I think the next day I wasn't in work. The day after, same route, nothing at all. Next day, nothing. And the last day of that week, on that route again, and it was clear. It'd been raining. It's a bit overcast, so the lighting conditions were pretty much the same, exact same thing. And it was like you could see like the arms and legs pulling whatever it was up these trees.
Wow.
I'm like, I can't imagine it 3 times in the same spot, same movements, everything. And I questioned myself for months after that. Didn't tell anyone for at least, I told one person in 2 years, and then didn't say anything to anyone else for another 4 years.
Wow.
Well, I almost wonder if you were seeing like between dimensions, and there's like the lighting was just perfect to where, because you mentioned seeing a portal before,
Yeah,
that maybe that's somehow you're now able to see the in-betweeners or the interdimensionals going from one to the other.
but this is a weird thing. So when I was on the motorway and I seen the plasma balls, to where I seen these invisible monkeys, I've calculated it and worked out they are both roughly within half a mile of each other.
Oh wow!
Even though they happened at 2 different occasions and I was in 2 different places at the same time. Not as in different places.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
I'm good. I'm not that good.
How did you do that?
No, I was in 2 places.
He's a portal jumper.
Each time, yeah.
This is all making sense now.
So but then I've driven past this point a million times since then. Nothing. Day, night, on my own, with people in the car, the lot, and nothing. Not seen anything around the area since.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I couldn't even guess to what that was.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I'm kind of curious now to go wonder, are all these experiences what kind of led to you forming Codes of the Unknown? And
possibly because there's another. There's a few more, but there's another big one which happened before the invisible monkeys and before the plasma balls. And but like you said, if it had done it in like chrono, chrono can't say it, chronological order, it wouldn't have made sense. It's
chronological.
easy for me to tell you jumping back and forth because I think because of the connection between it all. So I think this is the most major one. I don't know if I've told you about this before, Michael. I might have done, but this was like the biggie for me of all this. So when I said to you I was in the back garden, I could see that silver ball, and it felt like it was being observed. Yeah, and I really didn't
Right.
like it. Well, this was before any of that. So I was in the back garden. It was probably about 11:30 at night, and it was clear night, and I was stargazing. The back of the house is taller than the front. Normally, you have a roof; it's like that, isn't it?
Right.
Well, these weren't. These were like, I don't know if you can see. So that's the front of the house. That's a roof going up. So the back of the house is probably about another 10 foot taller. So it was just one slant rather than having the two, like the pipe.
Right.
So when you stood in the back garden, it drowns out more of the street lighting. So if you stand in certain points, you can get a clear view of the night sky. So I was in the back garden. I was looking, just seeing if I could see any like dancing stars or whatever you want to call them, UFOs. And I'm just looking. I thought, oh, there's not much happening tonight. I'm going to go in a minute. And then I just caught something in my peripheral vision. So because we was next to the end house, it's like obviously the back of the house ran all the way down. So from the point where I was, I could see right to the end and then pretty much to the horizon. So as I'm stood there, I seen this thing and I just watched it go across the sky. First I thought it was a drone. I thought when I first seen it, but because I watched it until it had completely gone, I'm like, oh my, I can't believe what I just seen. Now, I thought I'd seen a dragon. This sounds so ridiculous, I know, but
Oh no.
go with me.
Actually, I'm like, I want to know what the dragon looked like.
So I'm look, and I didn't take my eyes off it. Didn't even blink. I was scared of not seeing it again. So where it was, so I was stood about 8 foot from the back of the house, but going out towards the middle of the garden. So I could see it. It was over the front of the house. Like I said, the sky is as black as it is now. Well, it is here, but I could see the shape and the colour of this. So it's a dark tan brown colour, and there's three things that I struggle getting my head round to work out what it was. So you could see the wings, like long, leathery wings. You go like bats, and you have the hand at the top of the wing.
Right.
Yeah, and then the wing bits behind it. When they fold them in, you can use them like arms. It had them. I could see the back legs, and then the tail, quite a long tail, but it had the diamond bit at the end. And then the head it looked like it had a long neck, and then the head. Right? So I just
Right.
watched it. It didn't flap, didn't make any noise, it didn't fly off course. One of my mates actually messaged me when I was talking about it, and he was like, was it a kite? If it was a kite, Someone must have had a string about 5 miles long
Yeah.
from where I seen it to where it vanished. There was no way that was a kite. No,
That
there's
and,
no light, but there's no lights on it. 'Cause I thought, oh, could
yeah.
it be a mechanical drone or something? And
And
it's
if
like,
it's
oh,
dark
there's
at
no
night, who's flying a kite at night in the dark?
exactly.
Right.
I watched it fly about a mile across the sky before it flew out of view, but it didn't flap its wings, didn't make any noise. It was just a solid. It wasn't like weaving in and out. It's just solid straight line till it was gone. And then I ran straight in the house on the computer, YouTube, dragons. I just typing in flying creatures, went through everything. And okay, it was coming up with like the Black Knight, flying humanoids, all that kind of stuff. And I was on the computer till about 4 o'clock in the morning. I was on there a good 4.5 hours, nothing. Next few days, every time I got a chance to go on the computer, I'd be looking, nothing. And I kind of like dismissed it because I wasn't finding where it was. I was even type in like anything like seen in the sky in that area, nothing. So it kind of like got shoved to the back. And then I'd set up Code of the Unknown. I was probably about 6 months into it, and someone put this picture up, and I'm like, if I hadn't have been sat down, I'd have fell over. It's only a CGI picture or a painting or something, obviously not a photograph. And I couldn't believe this picture was what I'd seen. But the shape of it, the colour, the details on it, everything was absolutely identical, and it was a pterodactyl.
Wow.
As I'm sat here now talking to you two, I seen that. I don't know where it came from, don't know where it went, but I know it. And before that, it always felt like I didn't know I'd seen a portal till I was speaking to Jodie Cook, and he explained properly that it doesn't always register until someone else says anything. It was
Right.
one of them. It's like, I've seen a pterodactyl. It must have been about 24 foot from the tip of its beak, mouth, whatever you call it, to the diamond on its tail. And I'd say the wingspan was easily 16 foot across.
Wow.
But I did a podcast for a guy I know over in the UK, and I was telling him about this. And before I could say anything, I didn't say anything about it flapping. He was like, "Did it flap?" Because you get a lot of witness reports where they say it didn't flap because they're in a thermal drift. I'm like, "Oh my God, how did you know what I was going to say?"
That's a trip. Wow.
So, and that was my confirmation then when he said about the thermal drift and them not flapping. To me, that's it. That
Yeah. Yeah.
that seals it for me.
Now,
Then I moved away from the house, and pretty much nothing's happened since.
you want to know something that's gonna really shock you, Andy?
Go on.
You just reminded me. There was one night I was with my parents. We were traveling on a road, and it was
Yeah,
dark. And you're in the country, so there's no lights, and you're just like
yeah.
praying the headlights stay so you can see the road.
Keep working.
Well, my mom and I are kind of sensitive, and we start feeling like there's this really bad energy around.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, your story just triggered my memory of as we're driving, I closed my eyes for some reason, and all of a sudden when I opened them, I could see like I was above the car coming into land. And
Really?
my mom goes, something just landed on the car and is, kind of, keeping whatever it is out there at bay. And do you know what I said
Wow.
to her? Oh, don't worry, it's just a dragon.
Oh.
Really?
So it's like I was like, I felt like when I closed my eyes, I was able to be inside the dragon, get its help to keep us safe,
Ah,
to go to where we were
Oh my
going.
God.
And I was
wow.
like totally unafraid that there's a dragon on the top of the car.
That's crazy.
Jeez.
Crazy.
That's not. But
So
it is.
that
But do you? So when you have these things happen to you, I know a lot of talking. Does it scare you? Does it freak you out? Or do you feel like it's just normal every day, like going shopping or going to work?
to me, it kind of feels like, I guess because I know from having experiences like calling in dragons or something, like if I'm feeling overwhelmed, to create a protection. So
Yeah,
I don't go in and be like, and I'm not like, oh my god, this is really bad and I need to get out. It's like I'm more like, okay, whatever you can throw at me, I've right now feeling comfortable enough to know I have resources to help me, and if at
yeah,
the point those fail, then I'll probably be hitting the road running. But I think because having the experience where I called in a dragon, it kind of
yeah,
has given me confidence of I can stand my ground and be okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
How
no,
about you? Do you feel that?
I just feel that it's just normal everyday occurrences now. It did used to scare me, especially like with the ghost side of stuff, because I used to think that the ghosts are there, the haunting, and to me, haunting was trying to scare you.
Yeah.
They're there to scare
Right,
you. But it's not until it starts happening or you get a better understanding that they're not just there to scare you. It could be they do that every day. You just don't. You're not always there to see it.
Right.
right.
I think so. Then once you get that perspective of it, it's like, well, they're just doing what they do, the same as I do. What I do. I get
You
up,
know what
have my
about your day?
breakfast, go to work, go shopping. Do you know what I mean? It's
Right.
Yeah.
that. So it becomes part of that. I know there
You know,
are bad energies and everything out there as well, but I mean the everyday stuff, like when that thing walked in front of me and I was shouting and screaming or whatever, and it had no effect as to what this thing was doing as it walked past me. So there's no interaction with that whatsoever.
What if it
Because
was
that probably didn't
residual?
even know I was there.
Right.
right.
So it's the little things like that where they all add up. It's like, it's just normal. To see a ghost, it's normal. It's still it
Yeah.
starts chasing me, then yeah.
Yeah,
But
Carla
yeah,
raises a
like
good point. Yeah, Carla raises a good point that it could be residual,
yeah,
or I've started
yeah,
coming up with the theory of we're starting to talk about like parallel universes, how
yeah,
their science is starting to say they're real, and I'm wondering if some of these spirits we think is residual is we're actually have a glimpse into a parallel universe. They're going about their day, looking
yeah.
at us, thinking the exact same thing. We're thinking of
I
them and
was
going,
gonna say that.
"There's a ghost."
It's like we're living in our time, they're living in their time, and for whatever reason, the two times cross over. So we're looking at them thinking, "Is that a ghost?" They're looking at us thinking, "Is that a ghost?"
Yeah,
And for them few seconds, that's why they're all a bit not sure what's going on, and
Yeah.
then they straighten themselves out. I did think about that a while ago. What if they're looking at us the same way we're looking at them?
it totally changes the paranormal field if we're looking at
Yeah,
parallel
Yeah.
universes
yeah.
versus spirits of the past. Because
But I think with all the experience that I've had, I've kind of just got used to them happening. Sometimes I think I really don't want this to happen right now. I do get all like goosebumps and hairs on the back of my neck. And
Yeah.
other times it's
yeah,
like, yeah, just do whatever you're doing, just don't bother me, I'm busy, sort of thing.
yeah, it's like now's
It
not a good
depends what,
time.
yeah, it depends what mindset I'm in at the time as well.
Yeah.
So, But
Yeah.
I think I've got. Do I have a couple more? Do you want to hear the others?
Before you do that, I want to take a moment and ask you two questions because I think that they kind of will help some of the people that are watching this.
Yeah.
And the first one is, what are your goals for Codes of the Unknown and the paranormal podcast that you do, the 12th Dimension? You know, what goals do you have for those channels?
So, with with the Facebook group, that was more to bring people like us into it to share experiences, to find out what's going on and see if we can get some truth behind what's happening and what the connection is. With the YouTube channel, that's kind of took a couple of different turns. Originally with that, I was going out doing live investigations and hoping to get something on film. There's definite proof that there's things going on in certain places. But then that, because of the winter months, it's so cold over here. Last year we started interviewing people, and then that kind of just took off on its own. So it's like with yourself, Jodie. We've got Nathaniel Gillis on this Friday coming, and they talk about their own personal experiences and their theories and what they believe is going on. That kind of like took over from me going out investigating, but it's kind of give me a break. So I know, rather than keep going to the same place, I keep not so much fighting, but wanting to get evidence so bad that we're not actually getting anything.
Right.
It's given me more of an insight now because we were supposed to do an investigation tomorrow night, your time, tonight, my time. But I spoke, so this is in a building that's like over 400 years old. I know the guy who owns it. So that's been postponed to next week. Plus, I'm not very mobile at the minute because of my stomach. So that's been postponed to next week. So that's still going ahead because they're the owners of the building, of the shop, whatever.
Right.
We can get access to it pretty much any time. I just need to keep in touch and let him know what's going on and vice versa. So it's more the going out investigating. I think now it's more detailed on where we're going. Whereas when I first started, we was just going out here, there, and everywhere, trying to get something, trying to pick something up, give a bit of something for the viewers to get in on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that doesn't really work. I think doing this more detailed now, it's more, I won't say it's controlled. Sorry, it's more, we're studying where we're going and what we're doing and why we're there. So
Right.
there are like 4 or 5 definite hotspots around near where I live. One of them's at King's Fort Cemetery, where we've gone and we've had loads of activity go on. We've gone and we've had nothing. So it just, but yeah, so building up on the YouTube, that I want to go out doing more investigating, but more pinpointed investigations. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just
Right.
randomly going here, there, and everywhere and
Right.
hoping that we get something.
Right.
So, and that's it. And I'm just going to say, I'm not bringing a book out anytime soon because I'm too lazy to even consider writing a book.
Well,
You'd have a good one.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
there goes
not got
that
the time.
question. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is that the next one?
No.
All right.
Would have been a good one though if I thought about it.
Yeah. No, I've got too busy to write a book, to be honest.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
So my next question is, do you have any advice for anyone wanting to start a Facebook group or YouTube channel, whether paranormal, cryptid, anything in the field or in general?
I'd say don't think about it. Just if you want to do it, do it. The advice that I got was from a good friend of mine. He's actually wrote a couple of books, and he said to me the best thing to do is look at where you want to be in 5 or 10 years and work backwards. So the goals that I give myself are a lot higher than I'm ever going to get to. But I thought if I start at the highest point and I'm working backwards, it doesn't matter because you're going to be going to the lowest point somewhere along there anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was it. So from him saying that, this was during lockdown, I built the website, did the YouTube channel, did the Facebook group, Twitter, Instagram. Wasn't on TikTok at the time. So I had them all in place, ready. And I didn't know what I was going to do with them, or even if it was ever going to use any of the platforms. But I thought they're there in case I do. And something might happen. It's like, oh, I need a website to put that on. I've not got one, so then I've got to build one. If they're all built and sat there in the background waiting to happen, I can just jump straight on it and then go from there. And that's kind of like what happened with the YouTube channel. We started with the Facebook group first. And the very first investigation I did was over near going out towards Wales. It was an old train line. And I used Facebook Live to record it. Because at that point, I didn't know how YouTube worked or anything, didn't know anything about it.
Right.
I thought you use it for watching videos. That's it. I thought you had to have a bona fide account sort of thing, and then it's got to be all up and running before you can do anything with it. Didn't know you can literally just go straight on there and start at the very bottom. So it was all that. It was like the learning process of what we was doing as we was doing it. So it was just like build the Facebook group up and then get people to share stories and tell us, just talk about their experiences and what they've seen or what they know and all that kind of stuff. And then that kicked off the YouTube channel. And then I thought, right, so there are people that are on Facebook that don't use YouTube and vice versa. I'll do a website because that way the website will bring the two together. So that's why I did that. So it's mainly them, Fred. I use TikTok as well, but that's more for just making short videos to try and promote the YouTube channel and just who we have as guests and go out doing investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think, if you're going to do it, just do it. Just go whatever genre you're going to be jumping into, go out and see what's already on there. I won't even worry about the name you're going to call it. I've changed the name of mine about 5 times. Originally, it was C.O.T.U the Paranormal, but I didn't like the word paranormal because people think ghosts or spirits when they see paranormal. I needed to change it, and that's why I changed it to unknown. Because to me, unknown can be anything from A to Z, whereas paranormal is your ghosts, your spirits, poltergeist sort of thing.
Right, there's a stigma behind it now.
Yeah. So that's why, and you will change it. I don't know if you will, but you might even change your show name 3 or 4 times until at the time it might fit for what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then
as you evolve.
as it evolves and goes on, it's like, well, this doesn't work now. We need to do this. Well, and you change your logo. You will change your logo 1,000,000 times. I bet you have done already, haven't you?
Actually, our logo is pretty much the way it's been, but Carla will laughingly say the show title we're using now is probably the 6th or 7th rendition we had. We had so many before we launched. It was like, almost weekly. We're like, okay, we're now changing it to this.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like with these platforms, you have to give it a name before you can do anything with it.
Right.
And if you want to get it out there, you just got to give it a name for the time being. And then, as like you said, Carla, as you said, as it evolves, you'll just something will just pop up, and it'll be like, that's it. That's what we need to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything will change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And the funny thing too, Carla, she's the media genius behind the show. She was working on our intro because like your show, you had that really cool intro in the beginning. Every show I've been on has that intro, so I was like, we got to have an intro to have a show, and everyone's like, the intro will come later. Don't worry about the intro.
It took me 12 months.
Really?
Yeah, before we had an intro.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, so
and you won't
I
know
gotta
what
sweat that for a while.
the thing, and you won't know what it is until one day it will just click.
Yeah.
And be like, that's what we need.
Yep.
Because the intro that I've got now is 1, 2, the fourth one. it's the fourth solid intro, but I like modify it every now and again. I've actually modified it this morning, so it's slightly different to what it was
Really?
last Friday. Just changed a couple of little things on it. Like I use an app on my phone called Video Maker to do the intro. Don't do anything on a computer. It's all done on my mobile. It's easier.
Wow.
You can stretch it out, and you can pinpoint the way you've got, like, it shows you how many seconds through the video you are. You can stretch it out so then numbers then become letters. That's how much you can fine tune it.
Yeah, you're over my head. I'm sure Carla's following along going, yeah, and I'm like, nope.
I'll send you the app that I use if you want. See what you think of it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
No.
It's
one
just
thing I
was just going to say quickly, it's just when things slightly change in what we do, it just seems right to slightly change the intro or the logo. Or I think with the logo now, we've got the logo. So that's the hooded figure. Then it's got the hand inside. So that's a 6-finger hand. And then it says C.O.T.U. between the thumb. Like, can't do it on that bit. It'll say C.O.T.U. there.
Right.
And then his 5 fingers and the thumb.
To me, it's all about messaging.
Yes.
You know, as you like evolve everything, the messaging is going to just automatically change.
Yeah.
What are you trying to get across to everyone?
Yeah. And you'll know when you're ready to change it.
Yeah.
Because I'll be at work and I'll be like, oh, I've got to do it. But it's like, I need to stop being at work so I can go home and do this now. Then I'll come back to work. Yeah. Obviously, I can't.
Right.
But it is, you just get that. You get that light bulb moment.
Yeah. So my next question about the intro is got 2 parts to it. Yeah. And one part is I was telling Carla when we do the intro, your intro has one feature in it that I thought was the coolest thing, where you and Deb are sitting there talking to each other during the intro. So how long did it take to make that work? And how long has Deb been with you?
Right. So the intro, that was probably... So technically it was a 3rd take. But what I did, because you use StreamYard as well, set up a test page. Yeah. And do so that like we're talking now. And then I just press record. And we keep doing the intro how we want to do it until we get it right. I then download
Then you cut
the
it.
whole stream,
Yeah.
then cut the bit out that I need and get rid of the rest.
Look at you.
So it was a continuous recording, but we just kept doing it till we thought we got it right.
Right on.
And that,
it's
but the new bit of that, because there's people in our chat, it's boring now. We keep seeing the same thing every week. Well, that's what it is. We can
Yeah.
sit here and do it. So, but then we decided, we'll just record a new one. So I changed the music on it and changed the way that we did it, and we actually did that first take. Just the first bit of the
Really?
recording, got straight away.
Wow.
It's like, oh my
Wow.
God, I can't believe that. Can't believe we did it. But that's all I do. Just set up a test page on StreamYard, both go in it, do record only, download it, and cut and trim the bit that you actually want, then add it
Right.
into the intro. If you need a hand doing it, give me a shout. More than happy to help. Not a problem.
You have to coordinate a time.
Yeah. Not 3 a.m.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. The witching
Yeah.
hour is the best hour.
Oh, I'll be fine. But so the last bit of the question was Deb. So I know Deb for another group called BBR, which is kind of how I got started into this as well. Because the first ever interviews that I did, they were pre-recorded, and they was on the BBR. The woman who does that, she has a podcast and a YouTube channel. So I was kind of, she was saying like I can go in and like piggyback on a group to help build the members up for codes. So I was kind of doing that, and then
So you were being cheeky.
yeah, but I was allowed to be cheeky. I had the permission. Permission was given. So, but I tried not doing it because it's like I wanted to do it on my own. I didn't. Not that I didn't. I appreciated all the help that I got. It made my life so much easier.
Right.
I was just trying to do as much of it on my own that I could without having to rely on these other groups or people. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, we're the
It's like
same way.
Yeah, you do want to do it yourself. You feel a better, more of an achievement if you do it that way.
And it's more
I
empowering
suppose.
too, because you're like,
Yeah,
I
it's like,
did
I've
this.
done this. Yeah, we've done this. I've done this. We did this, and it was just us doing it. So it is. It is that feeling, but it's just now and again. It's like, I'm going to have to just to give it that bit of a kick, bit of a boost every so often. It does help. And then Deborah Singleton is a co-host. She was on there, but I didn't really watch the live streams. At that point, I didn't even know what a live stream was. And so I went on the group and said, look, I'm looking for someone to co-host the Friday nights, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of people got in touch. And it's just, I don't know, with Deborah, it just seemed to be a better connection, like the chemistry sort of thing. Because, as you know, we bounce off each other and we have a laugh and we get each other's humour. So we know when we can mess about, we know when to be serious, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of works. I think if it had been somebody else, I'm not saying it wouldn't have worked, it might not have worked as well.
Yeah.
But it's having that initial connection and knowing what the other person's going to do and so on.
It's kind of like a
anything,
natural.
isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's probably been March last year. I think I did a couple of podcast interviews about her encounters, and that's how she ended up coming on the show as a co-host.
Yeah.
So,
Do you want
that's that
to
one.
share? Do you want to share with Carla the running ending tagline that you guys have with Deborah and her what's on next?
Oh, yeah. So I've developed a feature called Who's Our Next Guest? Because every week she has not got a clue who it is. And that, so in our new intro, we've kind of put a bit of that into the intro. Because I'll say, Deborah, what day is it? Friday. And then I'll say, and who's on this week? And she'll go, I have no idea, but I do know it's COTU and Mel, blah blah blah. And then it goes into the intro. So I made a little video saying, Deborah, who's our guest next time on the show? And then she'll comes down from the top of the screen like a little emoji sort of thing. Then I recorded her saying, I have no idea. And then you'll see, so it's only on for a few seconds, but you see her fumbling with loads of paper.
Right.
Going, right, we've got such a buddy on. Oh, it's like 90% of the time she hasn't got a clue. But I've got my calendar on my phone and the computer linked. So I get that up, and I've got a whiteboard at the side of me as well that's just off camera. So I was right on there. He's on next week and the week after, so I know.
I have a
Well,
whiteboard too.
fortunately, I get to do all the promo stuff, so I know.
Right. Yeah. Same. Because I do all the tech side to it, I have to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I do the scheduling. She does the media stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But the funny thing was with Deborah that one time, the first time I was on and you were doing it, she kept looking to her right. I think it was, or her left. And I'm like, you're looking at a calendar. She's like, no. And then she goes, well, it's on my calendar right here. I was like, I
knew it. Yeah. True story. But no, she's so, between us, there's a couple of other people in the background that help with like getting contacts. So don't know if to give the name. It won't matter. There's one person nickname. She'll try and get contacts for me for guests for coming on the show. So she does that side to it. Then you've got Joe Weeks who does the modding on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So when we're out investigating or someone's talking about a particular event, she'll go on the computer and she'll copy and paste any information about it. So she'll do the research side as we're running live. Because I'm doing all, like you guys know, you've got all the buttons and you're doing the videos and the banners and everything else. So I'm doing that. Then we're staring the questions and trying to keep everything in running order, and we're keeping an eye on the time because we do the 4-minute break. So if I have to do everything, it just wouldn't work.
No,
I'd fall apart after about 2 minutes. But we've got a couple of people in the background doing a lot of stuff. So it just makes it easier for us when we're live.
It does. And the next question I actually came up with was kind of an interesting question. I think you had brought up in a way to me, and I kind of tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it might get you in a little bit of trouble. I don't know. But so which side of the pond do you think is more haunted? Our side or your side, and why?
See, it's a difficult one. Initially, I'd say my side. Just because of the history over here, it goes back a lot further than yours. But then on your side, you've got like the Native Americans, the indigenous, and they go back
even further.
They go back thousands of years. So you've got a big, strong connection there. There's a few people that I've been speaking to from different parts of America, and there's one guy in particular. He was saying that all these orbs and everything that are going on in his apartment, and according to him, these are all Native Americans. that have been reincarnated, and they're just balls of energy, but they can manifest, but they can only manifest into different animals. So then you've got that side to it. But for argument's sake, I'd say the UK is more haunted than the US, but the US has more strangeness going on, like with the cryptids.
I can give
Like
you
with,
that.
yeah, so same like you got Skinwalker and Stardust and Bradshaw, you got all that going on. Like, is it Utah and Arizona? So then you've got all that. But you've got these bigger areas in the US, like with the forests and mountain ranges. We haven't got anything.
Oh yeah.
You've got Ben Nevis and Snowdon, and neither one's in Scotland and one's in Wales. It's not
Yeah.
even close to what we've got. So,
And you get
'cause
fog.
this, because this is one of my, I won't say argument, but a conversation point. If we could drive 2 hours from, or 2.5 hours from one side of the UK, to where I live in the southeast, I can drive up to the northwest coast in 2.5 hours. You can drive 2.5 hours into a forest and not even be halfway through there.
Nope.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Where we're right over the other side of the country, and we're going south to north or north to south. So you've got a lot more land. Sorry?
I have to step away. Okay.
Yeah, say that again, sorry?
I said I'm sorry, but I have to step away.
All right.
Okay. I'll
Okay.
be back in a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
All
Okay.
right, bye.
Yeah, sorry. So I think 'cause you've got a lot more. You got like the Appalachian Mountains and all these other like they're not. You've got desert and rainforests and coast, and we've just got
Oh
a
yeah.
few little bits of the odd forest and that, and that's it. Where you can like with the Sasquatch, you like I suppose up in Alaska as well. You can go for miles and miles and miles. You can go walking into forests for days.
Yeah.
It's like if you did that round here, you'd be out the other side and on your way back home again. You know what I mean? So I think the UK is more. I'd say the UK is more hauntings, but that's just my opinion. So
See, in my opinion, I would say the UK is more aware of its history, and so that's why maybe more the haunt is more prevalent because
yeah,
you guys study your history all the time and just keep building on it. Where we're just now starting to uncover our history, and
yeah.
so it's
Well,
like,
yeah, but I think as well the size difference as well. The
yeah,
size
we
of the
are a lot
UK,
bigger.
yeah, yeah. So the size of the UK to the size of the US. It's obviously if you do it comparison size, there's a lot more in America than there is here.
Right.
But on like I suppose condensed scale, there's more. I'd say there's more hauntings going on just because of how squashed in everything is that's happening. You get what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, and I kind of feel like from studying the history, Europe, I hate to say it, but especially the UK, you guys just like to fight. So there's like probably within like 10 minutes of you is probably like 17 or 20 battlefields from
Oh
history.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so like for us,
yeah,
it's like over here, it's like if I want to go to a battlefield, I got to drive hours
yeah.
to go to a nearby battlefield because ours were spread out more, where you guys seem to just
Just
culturally
like
just
right next,
clash.
yeah, one after the other. Yeah, pretty much. There's one about 15 minutes up the road from there. So yeah, there's quite a few. But yeah, I think it's just I don't know. It's just yeah, just with going back to the hauntings and that. I think it's more condensed. Is more what it
Yeah.
is, whereas the US is more widespread.
Well, and also I feel like part of it too is the UK. I know it's gonna sound weird, but if you say, "Oh, this place is haunted," people are more like, "Okay," and just go about their day.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
here, if you say this is haunted, they're like, "No, this we don't believe in that." And it's like, "Whoa, wait a minute." It's just
right,
now
yeah,
coming to where people are starting to believe places are haunted. So it's like, oh,
yeah,
we actually can start to talk about it now.
yeah. You're allowed. Yeah, yeah. I suppose you're right.
Yeah, I think it's
But
become more of a, like you were saying, everyday life for you guys. Where for us, it's like, oh,
yeah,
we're in a brand new field.
yeah. It's a new thing. But I think no, I think like the US, it's more well. I suppose it's more well known for like Bigfoot and Sasquatch and Dogman and
Yeah.
that like say the cryptid side of it. But
Although I would say, I would kind of argue the UFO and kind of somewhat cryptid is more prevalent in the UK. When you look at shows
oh
like
right,
Doctor Who, I mean, it's
yeah,
like, wow. I was like, I became such a fan of that show, watching the originals and the new ones, going,
yeah,
holy crap, Britain is like way far ahead of us in understanding what's going on than we
right,
are.
yeah. But it's I don't know. I think with the UFO side to it, I think that's just happening everywhere.
Yeah,
But I think I read something the other day that apparently Mexico is the biggest hotspot in the world.
really.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is.
It
It
kind of
was
makes
something.
sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was on the internet or it was on TV. Because while I've been off work the last week or so, I've been watching like stuff on Netflix and Amazon Prime and YouTube and all that. So it could have been something on any of them.
Yeah, life's gonna suck when you have to go back to work.
Oh, I know. I
Binge
still got
watching
enough.
all these shows, be like,
I
wait, I
know.
can't go back to work. I still gotta finish this season.
Yeah, I know. That's the only thing. Um, I might just forget I've got to go back. I don't know.
Oh, Carla's back.
Yeah, sure.
We better behave now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm at a better place now. Okie doke.
So,
But,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, you got any more questions?
Oh, I got a lot of questions. Just depends on
All
how
right.
much time you got.
Probably about 10 minutes.
So, one question I actually want to pose to you is, being in the UK versus the US.
Yeah.
Do you guys, when you investigate, do you use a lot of apps, or what methods do you guys use in the UK to investigate?
I used to have the apps on my phone, but to be honest, I don't think they work. I think they work to a degree, but don't forget, if you've got an app on your phone, you're still using a mobile phone. You're
Right.
not going to get a true, what's the word? A true sense of what's going on because it's an app that someone's designed. Whereas if I'm
Right.
using, I've got a digital EMF reader it tells you the temperature. It's even got radiation read on it and everything. And that'll show like spikes, energy spikes, and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's more accurate because that's what it's designed to do. And then, so I've got, over the last few months, while I've not been going out investigating, I've managed to get hold of like different bits of equipment so I can do different types of investigations. So I've got some, I don't know if the brass or copper, I've got some dowsing rods, pendulum. I've bought an old camcorder on Facebook. We paid about equivalent to about $8 for it, because it's got night vision on it.
Oh,
and then
wow.
I bought 2 IR lights. So you set it up in your like in these like Most Haunted and all that TV shows where everyone's lit up green. So I've used it when I was out and about, but I think that's going to be used more when we're doing an investigation in a building. Just because the light bounces back, and if you're too far away, it's not going to pick anything up. So use a night vision for that. Obviously torches, radios. I always try and take as little equipment with me as possible, because of it. One, you end up carrying loads of different stuff, and you don't end up using half of it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And before you say something, I just want to clarify for the people in the U.S. When he says torches, he's not talking about a stick with the flame on
flashlight,
it.
yeah.
We call them flashlights.
Yeah. I do try and remember the changeover, but obviously I forget some. Yeah, pitchforks and a torch. Yeah, so I have a couple of flashlights. But then I always try and not take too much with me, because a few different people have said if you're out doing an investigation and there is something there, they can pick up on all these energy fields. If they're using this energy to like manifest anyway, they're gonna know that that's there.
Right.
So I'll always take the EMF or K2 meter, or whatever you want to call it. 2 flashlights, laser pointer.
Torches. We covered it.
Yeah. Laser pointer, but I use that more. To say you're out in a forest or something, I just see movement in that tree. And like, which tree? There's like 400 trees in front of us.
Right.
With a laser pointer, you can pinpoint roughly or exactly where you see the movement. So then you have, it's just more for like giving direction on things when you're out and about.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, 2-way radios in case you get split up or you go investigate in different parts of where you are. And then a phone or a decent camera. And that's really it. Oh, and a power bank, battery pack.
Yeah, I remember the battery pack.
Yes. But cables. I always remember cables and spare cables. Yeah. But everything I've just said to you then, all them different items are rechargeable. So imagine you get on them and you have to change the batteries in them every week. How much that's going to cost in batteries alone?
Oh,
it's worth paying that extra few dollars, a few pound or whatever.
Yeah.
When you do the initial payment, because then you're not having to get all these batteries. Because imagine how many batteries you'd have to take with you as well.
And hope that they're all charged and that you didn't forget to charge the one.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, everything I've got is rechargeable. I think it has to be.
Yeah. So the last question I'm going to leave you with is one that I kind of feel like pays homage to one of the questions you asked me. So what's on your bucket list to investigate in the U.S.?
See, well, it was Skinwalker, but I've got Stardust now in Rainbow Valley, Arizona.
All right.
That was the one. It was John Edmund. He died not so long ago. I think it's either his son and daughter or his son and daughter-in-law or something. They now own the property and they're trying to keep it up and running. That, obviously, I want to go to as near as Area 51 as I could get.
Yeah, just don't
That'll
get
definitely
shot.
be on there.
Yeah.
And Gettysburg.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
That'd
think
be a good one.
they're the three. Yeah.
So how
Any
come
other?
Skinwalker got bumped?
Just because it's all the publicity that it's had. It seems to be more. It's not about what goes on there anymore. It's more people are going for the sake of wanting to go to say that they've been. Not so much because of what it initially was and what goes on there. It's just, oh, have you been at Skinwalker? It's a household name now, more
Right.
than anything. But if you read, I don't know if you've read or heard anything about Stardust.
I've heard of it, but it's been a
No.
while since
Yeah,
I've
so
read
I
up
know
on
it's
it.
Stardust Ranch, Rainbow Valley. I don't know if it's in Phoenix or just outside Phoenix, but they're just the stories and the interviews that guy said, it's just mind blowing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another one called Bradshaw, which is a bit further up. I think that's in Phoenix. I'm not 100%, and that's very similar to what goes on there as well. And then Gettysburg, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gettysburg and Antietam would be on my bucket list.
And where? Sorry,
Antietam.
I've
It's
not heard of that.
It's the battle where it lasted one day, but more soldiers were killed in that
Right.
day than any other battle.
Wow.
So they call it the bloodiest day in our history is the Battle of
Jeez.
Antietam.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, just imagine walking into that.
Yeah. Imagine the energy.
I know how palpable it probably is going, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have to prepare yourself for going in somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So how do you prepare yourself and protect yourself to
I always. So I have a lot of crystals. And the main one that I use for protecting is obsidian or
That's
dragon's
what I
blood.
wear. I have
Sorry?
it. I have
Is it?
it around my neck.
I have it. I've got it all around. So upstairs where my studio is, that's where all the crystals are. But I've
Nice.
got there's like a big flat stone of obsidian in the car. I've got that. I've got 2 clear quartz in the car as well.
Man, you're not messing
People,
around.
yeah, there's people in the show that I won't say they might class themselves as witches, but more like spellcasters sort of thing. They do protection spells for me as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so, but I think when I go somewhere, I don't think about it because I think if you start thinking, I end up overthinking, and I don't want to be doing that when I'm out investigating.
No.
I'll just go in, and I like to go in blind as well. So if it's somewhere new, I don't want to know what's gone on. See, like when you see like ghost hunters and that, they'll go in and they'll do a walk around and they'll find out what's gone on and what's happened and what's been seen. So you're getting a preconception of what's gone on there before you start your investigation. I want to go in and see what I pick up and then find out what went on and then compare the two.
Yeah, because I find even if you know what's happened there, they're there every day. So the spirits are more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
In my theory. So they're going to do more for them. And you coming in and saying, oh, you scratched this person. Why don't you scratch me? They're like, I don't know you.
Well,
Why
yeah.
should I scratch you? And the other thing about like when a friend pointed out is, we don't think about is when you get scratched, we automatically think, oh my God, they meant harm. And they go, if you think about it, and a spirit's trying to get your attention, the three fingers might be like trying to tap you, and they accidentally scratch you trying to get
Well, yeah.
attention.
You never
So,
know.
yeah,
Or you're asking all the wrong stuff and they're trying to get the story right.
yeah,
Yeah, listen, it's not that. Yeah, it could be. You never know.
yeah.
But yeah, fingers crossed, touch wood, I've never been harmed by anything.
Oh, which is a perfect segue to my question I like to ask that Carla likes to ask me.
Go on.
Do you think spirits are good or bad in nature, and how to tell the difference?
I'd say they're going to be both. But then it's defining the word spirit. So from me doing what I do now to before I started doing any of this publicly, it's I go. That's to explain. I don't even know why I started saying that. So a ghost is so when you say, "Oh, seeing a ghost," it's like you think of someone that's passed away, the spirit of that person, or residual haunting or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
And then I don't think a ghost is what people perceive as being a ghost, if you get what I mean. So,
I think
like, you
so.
have a lot of this poltergeist activity, yeah, and
Right.
then
See, I don't
you'll
think that's
see.
spirit.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think that's anything to do with ghosts and spirits, whatever. To me, a ghost is the spirit of a person that's passed on, whether they're
Yep.
still here for whatever reason, or they're waiting to move on, or they're not sure what's going on, or it's a residual. To me, that's a ghost. When you have
Right.
all this activity going on and you can't see what's doing it, that is not a ghost. That is something completely different. And I think
kind of look at it
that
like those are the types of things I would call like entities or yeah.
And I think that all that side of stuff is connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd say one of my theories on it is, especially with like the poltergeist stuff, you got these the greys that
Right.
can cloak themselves apparently. It wouldn't surprise me if it was them that were doing that. Because they've been known, like, because if you read about, like I said about, I was saying before about Stardust Ranch, they was doing that kind of stuff there to John and his family, like being mischievous and just causing bother and like scaring people just for the crack of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say the poltergeist stuff and all that like you said, these entities, and whether them entities are aliens or demons or whatever, or something from a different world, I don't know. But they're definitely not ghosts. They're not spirits.
Agree.
That's something completely different to what spirits are.
Yeah. I would
That's
agree.
my
And
belief.
you had said you had 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna honor that and respect that.
Thank you.
And
It's only because I need to go to bed.
Me too.
Yeah. Yep, so do we.
5:30 a.m.
So yeah, you need your rest, and I want to thank you for working with us. I know we had a lot of technical issues tonight.
Yeah.
So
I still don't know what. I've not touched my phone since, so I don't know.
So
Don't
no, it's been a pleasure.
I am truly grateful that the show finally took off, and
Yeah.
we finally got past all the glitches.
Yeah. Get used to that. There'll be a lot more.
Oh yeah.
No,
But,
thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
Loved it.
it was great.
Nice
Yeah.
to meet you as well, Carla.
Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you. I mean,
Thank
it
you.
was nice listening to your whole story from, the evolution of from the 3 years old to current and stuff, and
Yeah.
very
Yeah. I have got some more stuff, but
we'll have to bring you
I'm
back.
not going
we'll have to bring you back.
Yeah,
It'll
I was
be
going to say
part
be here for
2.
about another 2 hours telling you all that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've definitely covered the more exciting stuff.
Right
Yeah.
on.
So we'll
Yeah.
definitely look forward to having you back. And,
Yeah. No, it'd be a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm interested to hear what happens with the coffee shop next week.
Yes. Well, I'm hoping that's going to be a live investigation because you've got a basement. I don't know if we're going to get a phone signal because it's below
Oh,
ground
yeah.
level.
Oh yeah.
So gonna go with the intentions of it being live, but might have to do some added recording for the basement part and just stay on the ground level.
Mhm.
But
Hey.
there's still 6 rooms to cover
Mhm.
on ground level, so it should be a good one. But
Of
yeah, I'll
course.
send you all the details once I get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Excellent.
All right.
thank you
Well,
again.
Yep. Cheers,
Thank
mate,
you.
and get some rest and continue healing well.
Mhm.
I'll try.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Do you want me to hang about, or am I all right? Am I good to go?
You're good
I'm
to
gonna
go.
say you're good to go, so you can heal up, and I think we've kept you awake long enough.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine.
Get some sleep.
I will.
Yeah.
I will do. All right. Take care.
All right.
I'll speak to you guys soon. Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
All right
All
then.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good
Good night. Carla, before you go, I just want to say I am looking forward to next week's show where you and I are actually going to be guest free,
Yeah.
and we are going to be talking about what?
Movies, the paranormal movies, our favorites, ones that impacted us the most, that type of conversation.
So make sure you tune in next week to see if you guys can come up with a movie that might stump us or if one that we've seen. So, all right. So,
All right. Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.
yep. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.